Bah, bah, bah. What's up, everybody? I lost my voice a little bit, so hopefully I'm able to power through this. Um, Whatever this is going on here. Wings scored 19 goals Saturday night, so I had to announce 19 goals, and that's a lot of energy in 19 goals. But anyway, welcome into the show. Your Philadelphia Eagles have won 10 in a row, and here's what's absolutely amazing. Last week, during the Jalen Hurts press conference, when he was addressing the media, I took one thing away from it. One thing away. And that was, you want me to push the passing game button? I can push the passing game button. No problem. Passing game activated yesterday. The push of a button, basically, for Jalen Hurts. And I did tell you going into this game, I thought they were going to make sure that they passed the football. I thought it was going to be the number one priority to throw the football for two reasons. One, because they were going to be able to do it against the Steelers. And two, they wanted to do it. Now, Jalen Hurts, what I took away from last week, other than the sheer confidence in his own game and what this whole offense could do, when I was listening to Jalen Hurts last week, I said, this guy knows he has the ability to throw the football. Now, for two reasons. One, mainly because they don't do it anymore. They don't throw the football. They fewest pass attempts in the NFL, as we all know by now. That, and he has the most dominant force in the entire NFL of Saquon Barkley running behind this offensive line. So he doesn't feel the need to have to throw the football because they are going to win games on the ground. Yesterday, for me, changed nothing as far as confidence in this football team and their chance of making it to a Super Bowl, winning a Super Bowl. The difference between most people, the biggest thing to disagree on after this is you either knew that the Eagles were capable of doing what they did yesterday, 290 yards in the air through their quarterback, another 2-touchdown game, another 3-touchdown game when you factor in the tush-push touchdown he had as well, 2 receivers over 1,000 yards in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith like it was nothing. You either knew that game could happen yesterday or you thought it could never happen. I knew yesterday's game could happen. I knew the Eagles, and I've known this whole time, and I've said it each and every week, that the Eagles are capable of doing this. And when I listened to Jalen Hurts last week talk about what the passing game was capable of, but hey, we need to run the football, so we're going to win by running the football. It doesn't always look pretty, as some might say, but in Jalen Hurts' words, you look at this offense and you realize how dominant they could be when running the football. If that's the most dominant you could be, then you be that. And when they talk about how it might not look pretty, when they talk about how the people might doubt you, he's just like, since when do people not like winning? 9 wins in a row going to that press conference last week. 9 wins in a row. And still people are like, oh, the quarterback sucks. You know how hard it is in the NFL to win 9 in a row? Do you know how difficult it is in the NFL to have 3 consecutive 10-2 starts to a season? And you want to tell me that your quarterback sucks? That doesn't happen for 3 consecutive years if your quarterback sucks. And then to now set a franchise record of 10 wins in a row, to now be 11-2 and have the same record as the Detroit Lions, but they hold the conference tiebreak. And for people to think a quarterback sucks, that doesn't add up to me. Fortunately, I've never bought into the idea of Jalen Hurts sucking. I've always thought he's a pretty damn good quarterback. Oh, and how often has he been in the MVP running? That's a lot, isn't it? Yeah. So, yeah, he doesn't suck. So I think the big difference for a lot of people is you either knew that kind of game could happen yesterday or you greatly doubted it to the point of thinking it could never happen. I loved what I saw from the Eagles yesterday. And the idea of a quarterback more or less announcing, we'll shift into whatever we need to be to win. And for yesterday's game, for you to shift into a damn near perfect start to the game, 158.3 passer rating, I believe, in the first half, and then just to continue to be able to throw the football, yeah, it's pretty special. To get AJ his touches, to get Devontae his touches, hell, to get Kenny Gainwell involved in it all, which was a little scary. And I like Kenny Gainwell and all, but I don't want him to be the number one running back. I don't know what was going on with Saquon Barkley during the game. After the game, let me cut to this. After the game, Saquon Barkley said he did not suffer the injury. He didn't use the word injury, but he said just a little something, nothing serious. Going to get back to work. He said didn't suffer it on the hit. Or I believe it was Mika Fitzpatrick coming in and taking his legs out and hitting him on the knee, and he goes down on his shoulder. You can see him on the sidelines there trying to stretch that leg out. When he was asked about it after the game, he says, just a little something, nothing worth bragging about, nothing to worry about. But it was concerning because when he was out of the game, all of a sudden the Steelers knew what was coming. But Kenny Gainwell rose to the occasion on a couple of plays, a couple of big third down conversions to help this Eagles team to the victory that they enjoyed yesterday. I loved what I saw, and Jalen Hurts, I thought, summed it up rather well after the game. Let me get right to it because this was enjoyable.
So that's what y'all wanted to see, huh?
Translate, are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? That's what I heard when Jalen opened his press conference yesterday. One of my concerns, as I said, going into this game, and we talked about it on Friday, was I didn't want the Eagles to overcorrect, meaning I didn't want them to force situations. I saw the Eagles, for the first time all year, look like they were prepared to play a football game. They looked like they went out there with a purpose to go out there and throw that football. To not only get out to a good start against the Steelers, unfortunately the drive stalled and they got a field goal out of it at least. They got 3 points. Then they go on to continue to be able to throw the football, and they go on to have a great rhythm in their offense. And you actually saw the Eagles score 10 points in that first quarter. That doesn't happen. And it happened in this game. There were a number of plays there that you were watching from Jalen Hurts where he just looked like he was in rhythm, on the money. They come out, they hit Grant Calcaterra for 22 yards. They get A.J. Brown on the slant. Barkley mixes in a run, which, ironically enough, me, Derek Gunn, Seth Joyner, we're all watching the offense cook, passing the ball. They stack the box, and they still run the football with Saquon Barkley. I understand that sometimes you still got to do that and make them think that you're going to do it. But that was a situation where they couldn't stop you throwing the football. So keep on throwing the football. They ran it with Barkley. It was a little bit of a killer. Then they ended up settling for the 34-yard field goal, which they made, go up 3-0. Then, as much as we're going to talk about Jalen Hurts, the defense throughout this game was absolutely fantastic. The defense throughout this game was fantastic. They had, obviously, the fumble that was recovered by Darius Slay on that little bobble there by Najee Harris. But really, after that, the Eagles just said, yeah, this is our game, and we're not giving it back. And they dominated from that point on. But the defense was pretty damn great the entire game. And no longer can it be said that Russell Wilson is undefeated against the Eagles. Now 6-1, including the playoffs against your Philadelphia Eagles. A number of 3-and-outs there in the first quarter that the Eagles were able to take advantage of. As the game kept on going, you saw in the second quarter another 3-and-out there by the Steelers. Eagles get the ball back, and on a 3rd and 7 in the early goings of that second quarter, A.J. Brown comes up with a 17-yard reception on a 3rd and 7. 3rd and 3, Kenny Gainwell rips off 16 yards like it's nothing. Dante Jackson actually got hurt on that play, so the interception concern was far out the window at that point. And they're able to get the Devontae Smith touchdown to go up 17-3 at that point in the game. To rewind for a second there at the end of the first quarter there, the A.J. Brown touchdown. Speaking of Dante Jackson, to go up 10-3. One of the things I found really interesting about that is that Jalen Hurts dropped back. It looked like he stared down A.J. Brown. And when I saw him release the football, I looked and saw who was in coverage. And I went, that's Dante Jackson. 5 interceptions on the season. If AJ's going to stare, if Jalen is going to stare AJ down, the throw's got to be perfect. The throw was perfect. So the Eagles there at the end of the first quarter go up 10-3. Then early in the second quarter, they go up 17-3. Then you start to have some issues with Saquon Barkley. Kenny Gainwell's getting a little bit more touches. You lose a little fluidity in the offense. You see the Steelers start to come back a little bit. They get a touchdown. Then they get a field goal before halftime. It's 17-13. Little concern whether or not Saquon's going to come out for the second half. What's going to go on? He comes out for the second half. All goes right with the world. The Eagles are able to get a field goal on their opening drive of the second half to go up 20-13. You have the 2nd and 20 play to Devontae Smith that went 20 yards. They're able to get the first down there. They have a 3rd and 18, unfortunately falls incomplete, but then they settle for the 41-yard field goal to go up a touchdown. Also, 13 plays, 47 yards on that opening drive of the second half, 7 minutes and 8 seconds. This would set a trend for the second half of play. Pittsburgh then goes out there on that next possession. They fumble the football. It's scooped up by Darius Slay. Then at the 5:50 mark, they take over of the third quarter, and they don't give it back. 3rd and 5, they convert with a Devontae Smith reception. Barkley rips off a 9-yard run, then a 4-yard run. Hurts rips off that big 23-yard run up the middle. Lane actually ends up leaving the game for a little bit. Fred Johnson comes in, but the Eagles continue to push. They end up closing out that third quarter with a drive that went into the fourth quarter, ending with the tush-push touchdown to go up 27-13. It was a 13-play, 74-yard, 6-minute and 33-second drive. Now, I said at the start of the second half, it would set a trend for how long the Eagles would have possession. How about this? The Eagles would end the game, folks, with a 21-yard drive. Excuse me, 21-yard drive. 21-play drive. That is bonkers. And that drive lasts in the fourth quarter. That drive lasts from the 10:29 mark of the fourth quarter to straight zeros on the scoreboard. That's a good day. That's a good day. That's a great drive and a good day for your Philadelphia Eagles. Were you surprised at the performance yesterday by your quarterback? Were you surprised yesterday that AJ and him and Devontae Smith and even Grant Calcaterra got it all figured out yesterday? I was not surprised. I was very impressed with just about everything I saw yesterday from the Eagles. And the Steelers are no pushover. So let's just review for a second here. The Philadelphia Eagles come out in yesterday's game. Now they take it to the Steelers. They dominated, for the most part, their game against the Ravens, another team that was supposed to be a test for them, right? They dominated the Bengals, which I know a lot of, held them to 7. The most important thing about that Bengals game is, like, people looked at it and went, oh, yeah, these teams are similar. What's going to happen? Could the Eagles lose this game? And the most important thing is not that they beat the Bengals, because the Bengals obviously this year aren't exactly a great football team, but they held them to 17 points. They held that offense to 17 points. They went out there in the open of the season, I mentioned, against the Packers, and they handled the business against the Packers. These are 4 teams that you could be seeing in the playoffs, could be seeing in the Super Bowl. Ravens, Steelers, maybe. And they dominated these games. They dominated these games. And it came up again on the post-game show yesterday, and Seth actually mentioned it. I asked the question, who do you credit the most for the 10-game winning streak? And Seth said, I'm going to do something that's going to go against the grain here. I credit Nick Sirianni. He's like, this is a head coach of the football team. And he never gets enough credit. He only gets scrutiny. Even if your best attribute is listening to your players, which, by the way, it's a great attribute that he has. It's not his best attribute. I think his best attribute by far is making sure his team's ready to play football. Now, look, the end of last year, everything went wrong. Is that on the head coach? It's on the head coach, and it's on everyone. But for the vast majority of his coaching career, his team has been ready to play football. And how many 10-game winning streaks have we seen in the Eagles' history? Oh, none prior to right now? How many 10-2 starts? A Super Bowl appearance, the playoffs every year, now 4 straight years of making the playoffs. Nick Sirianni, and I have to listen to what Jason Kelsey has said about him, runs a better meeting than anyone. Now, some people might roll their eyes at that, but that is preparing your team to play, whether that's tactically, whether that's a great strategy, whether that's a great game plan, or that's being mentally focused. And you might say 17 games a season. How do you lose focus? Only 17 games. Well, it's still 6 months. There's still a lot going on throughout that season. And whether you're the coach who has generated a distraction, somehow the team rallies around you, whether it's flower power from years ago or it's this year with jawing with fans. Or A.J. Brown. Hey, what's the problem with this team? Passing. Whatever it is, they find a way to rally around each other. They find a way to pull focus. And Nick Sirianni knows how to squash any bad blood. Having the two talk before team meeting. Lane Johnson, by the way, said he wasn't there, just to note that. Unfortunately, he had a funeral. Thoughts and prayers to Lane Johnson. But Nick Sirianni knows how to keep this team focused and keep this team on point. And 10 wins in a row now. 10 wins in a row. So yesterday, where do you fall in? Are you surprised that Jalen Hurts was able to do this? Or were you like, yeah, it's about right? Because I can't say it enough, folks. Jalen Hurts dropped the gauntlet last week. When he got into the offense is going to look as Jalen Hurts wants it to look. We're going to do whatever it takes to win. Everyone was freaking out about, oh, they can't throw the football. Oh, no, they can. I don't think I've ever seen an athlete in Philadelphia. Like, you know what came to mind yesterday? This is what came to mind yesterday. And I'm not saying that Jalen is this person, but it just reminded me of. They would always tell Wilt Chamberlain. Now that I watch Wilt Chamberlain play, no, but I've certainly read a lot about him. I've watched documentaries on him and talked to people that watched him play. One of my favorite stories is that everyone told Wilt Chamberlain he couldn't pass. And he was a ball hog and whatever. So finally, one year he just decided to lead the league in passing. Or excuse me, in assists. And he did, because he could. People said he couldn't. He wanted to shut him up, so he did it. Watching the Eagles this season, I never doubted whether or not they could throw the football. I just knew that they had every ounce of confidence in, again, the most dominant force in all the NFL, which is Saquon Barkley running behind this offensive line. If you do that, you're going to win. Now, unfortunately, a week ago against the Panthers, that was taken to the nth degree. That was taken to an extreme because then all of a sudden, when you wanted to throw the football, your passing game was off. And make no mistake about it, one of the things that really pissed off A.J. Brown last week is they went up against one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and they struggled in their passing game. It's one thing if you're going to go up against a defense like the Steelers, for instance. You're going to go up against a defense like the Ravens, for instance, and you're going to struggle in the passing game. That you get. But the Panthers, you should have blown them out 48-10. Something crazy like that. And A.J. said as much. Hey, no disrespect to the Panthers. Should have blown them out. But they went into this game with the sole purpose of setting a tempo with the passing game, and they executed to damn near perfection. So that for me was just the Eagles and Jalen Hurts, more so than anybody, just pushing a button and said, activate offense, activate passing offense. After the game, Jalen Hurts, one more time, you heard him say, well, I think I have it. I have the full thing here. Here's his open one more time, as well as the first question about the passing game.
So that's what y'all wanted to see, huh?
Jaylen, you said you'll figure this out. Is that what we saw tonight?
We found a way to win the game.
Did you come in thinking you were going to pass like that at the beginning of the game, or was it based on how they were playing?
As we've said before, this, multiple ways to win, and that was kind of where we leaned today. We were able to find ways to make plays and execute and finish in the end zone and find a way to win. It's good complimentary football.
There you go. Everybody complimenting everybody pretty much. So Jalen was then asked about the versatility when it comes to the weapons on this offense.
As I said, when you're able to win in multiple ways, obviously talented and the opportunities are there, but it comes down to having good discernment of when to do something and when not to. And so we want to, I've always said and believed that you want to make sure that all of your tools are sharp when you need them. So when it's time to use them, you can go. And I don't think there's a doubt in that. I think, frankly, there's an effort there. The approach was a little different this week. And, the grass will be green where you water it. And we decided to water it.
All right, put it in the. It's not the lexicon. Put it in the great book of Jalen Hurts philosophical comments. I'm blanking on one of my favorites already. I was saying it to myself before the show so I wouldn't forget it. I had a purpose before anybody had an opinion. Yeah, that's it. That's a good one. The grass will grow where you water it. Put even a little bit more Philly on it. Yeah. He said all season we've been watering the run game. They watered the passing game yesterday. Sit back and enjoy it. I certainly did throughout the entire game. As far as Nick Sirianni on the passing game, here's what he had to say.
That was pretty good. Yeah, that was pretty good. I thought Jalen did a great job of taking what the defense gave him. Getting a ball to our, we had 2 100-yard receivers. I always think that's cool when that happens. And Jalen was in complete control. Just another good day by him. Yeah, good.
Here's something. The Eagles, you could say they overdid it. They were successful, so they didn't overdo it. But 32 passes for Jalen Hurts. It's been a while since you've seen that. I love how understated everyone was yesterday about the awesomeness of the passing game, the efficiency of the passing game. Everyone, including Saquon Barkley.
Everyone knows what this team's capable of doing. Finally we showed it. Like I said earlier in the week, if a team does figure out how to, slow down, we're more than capable of passing. And if teams want to stop the pass, we're more than capable of running. That's the beauty of the team that we have. Big shout out to Jalen and AJ and Smitty. Both those guys going over 100 and stepping up big and doing what we know that they're all capable of doing.
Yep. Everybody understated. Oh, we knew this. And here's the deal. Normally, in a situation like this where there's been a struggling aspect of the game or a part of the game they haven't used enough, and then everyone after the game's like, oh, yeah, we totally knew we could do this. I'm just like, I don't believe you. 99 times out of 100, that's my attitude. However, I'm with them. People talking about how Jalen can't throw a deep ball still. It's like, no, he can. They haven't done it this year. Not with any type of regularity. They haven't been on the same page, at least passing the football in a while. But when Jalen's had to do it, example, 3rd and 7 against the Ravens. Dallas got it across the middle. Boom, on the money, first down. Keep it going, win the game. 3rd and 13 last week against the Panthers. Jalen Hurts is having this terrible game. He puts the ball on the money to A.J. Brown to keep that drive going towards the end of the game. Throughout yesterday, Jalen was just dotting I's, man. Just dotting I's between the numbers in stride. Like I said, the touchdown pass to A.J. Brown, that throw was going to have to be perfect. And the throw was perfect. Devontae Smith, a number of times he hit perfectly. Really, it was a very impressive performance from Jalen Hurts, all in all. And when you look at just the final numbers for him, 125 passer rating is what he ended up coming away with. And in the first half, he finished with 153 with a 153 passer rating, 1 incompletion. He was 4 for 4 in the opening drive. And I had mentioned during the pregame show to Seth and Gunnar, they were like, well, what do you want to see from Jalen Hurts? I said, I want to see 5 for 5 on the opening drive with a touchdown. Now, I got 4 for 4 and a field goal. But at least I saw some rhythm established. And then the Eagles were able to get a touchdown before the end of the first quarter, which is just something we have not been able to enjoy this entire season. So love what you saw from the Eagles. As far as everybody getting on the same page, Devontae Smith talked about how they were able to do that throughout this week. And it's one of the things that he loves most about his team.
Address those a lot of tough conversation. Have those uncomfortable conversations with each other. And I think that's why this team is so close, and that's what makes this team so good. Is everybody can have those uncomfortable conversations with each other, and nobody feels no type of way.
It's a family again. It's a family. And as we pointed out many times on this show, who do you have your biggest bouts with? Who do you have your biggest problems? Your family. But hopefully, more often than not, you still come together and sit down at the same table. They still go to the same meetings. They're still after the same cause, which is winning a Super Bowl. There was one instance that did not look like a family-friendly affair, and that was Jaylen Carter going crazy. And it was pretty insane. The Eagles were up 27-13. They're in the fourth quarter. They get a nice defensive stand. The Steelers decide to punt, which was a little surprising. They decide to punt, and on that punt, Jaylen Carter gets into it and gets flagged. It's originally announced as an automatic first down in favor of the Steelers, and now all of a sudden they get a little shot of life. But fortunately, it was unnecessary roughness after the punt on that 4th and 7 with about 10:40 remaining in the fourth quarter, down 2 scores, and Jaylen Carter does not end up costing a major possession to the Eagles. Eagles then never give the ball back, like I said. The total numbers on that drive, 21 plays, 88 yards, 10-29. That's insane. But after the game, or after the play, you could see Nick Sirianni going over to try to talk to Jaylen Carter, and Clint Hurt, the defensive line coach, who's built like a brick you-know-what house, is like, I got it, Nick. Nick, I got it. Nick, I got it. I got it. It looked like Nick Sirianni wanted to give Jaylen Carter a piece of his mind. Here is Nick Sirianni on that exchange.
I'll never get into the conversations I have with players, but he made a play that is not part of our standard. And so, my job is to correct that, and regardless of what it is, we're gonna correct the things that we need to do better and praise the things we need to do well. And so, in that moment, that's what that was. I love Jaylen Carter. I love what he brings to this football team. Right there, he needs to be smarter in that situation, because it could have gave him the ball back. It didn't give him the ball back, but it could have. And so we're going to need to get better from that. And so that's what you do as a coach. And again, he played a good game, and I'll watch the game to see, how good of a game he played. But we need him to be better in that scenario and be the consistent player that he's been for the entire year.
Look, I love that Clint Hurt stepped up for his player. Nick Sirianni having an issue with it. He had every right to have an issue with it. And by the way, Jaylen Carter in yesterday's game, 91% of the snaps, 39 plays. Bond, Mitchell, Blankenship, Chauncey, Gardner-Johnson, all 4 players, 100% of the defensive snaps in yesterday's game. Nakobe Dean, Nolan Smith, 95%, Dean, 93%. That's the way that one shook out. Oh, Jalix Hunt, 40% of the snaps. Interesting. So that's the way it broke down defensively. But all in all, I love Nick Sirianni in that moment. I love Clint Hurt in that moment. Jaylen Carter knows he needs to be better than that. I think he was half kidding, but one of the things Seth said on the postgame show was he was like, that can only be one thing. He said something about his mama. That can only be one thing. He had to have said something about his mama. This game got a little chippy. Oh, it got a little chippy. But the Eagles were right there to make sure that it never got out of hand in that regard. They just kept on dominating. Hey, let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app to your phone, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show? Download the Game Time app and use promo code Farzy for $20 off your first purchase. They got the Game Time Picks feature, which allows you to filter out the fluff, see the best seats for the best prices with the Game Time Picks feature on the Game Time app. They also have the all-in pricing feature. You toggle this feature, and you don't have to worry about sticker shock when you check out. You know exactly what you're paying before you check out. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs? That's phlsportsnation.com. I want to make sure I get the chat check in here. Wine Niners Wine, what's going on? April, good morning. Sean Kilrain, what's going on? James Alexander, good morning. Farzy, victory over the Steelers, lost by the Lions. Let's go. Shavers, what's going on? Nobody is mentioning Dean hasn't missed a game. He is legit. The whole defense is legit. I agree. Let's bleep and go, says Hardcore for All. Controversy and broken finger just keep grinding regardless of critics. Hell yeah. Elliott was even good yesterday. Yeah, after 2 and 4 games where he struggled a little bit, nice to see him get back on track yesterday. Trying to rest Superman for a while. All right. Steelers played dirty. Luke, they did. They did. Deshae Shaver, yeah. Love Q defending Slay, absolutely. Izzy Hurst. Same fan base wanted Watson, Wentz, and Wilson. Anyone but Hurts, everyone lobbied for. Not me. Gainwell showed up. Hell yeah, he did. Deshae Shavers, 21 plays, 88 yards. There was a couple of plays that were taken off due to penalty for no play, but yeah, officially 21 plays. At that final drive. I don't think ever seen that before. I can remember an 18-play drive, and there's been a couple of them, but the 18-play drive by Vince Young at the Meadowlands, that was out of nowhere. What's going on? Matthew, what's going on? Bro, chill. He had one good passing game. No, he's had many, which is why he's been in the MVP conversation in his career, which is pretty damn good. Don't like the attitude. I love the attitude. If you could back up arrogance, then that's called confidence. Big win last night, absolutely. Clint on Nick, just playing good cop, bad cop. That's funny. Fangio's a godsend, yeah. Folks, that's the show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll be on Fox 29 coming up at 7:45 this morning. Have a great rest of your day. My name is Mark Farzetta. Like and subscribe to the Farzy Show. Be back with you guys tonight for Sixers postcast. We'll get into all that's going on with the Sixers, unfortunately. Yeah, that's tonight. See you then.